Go.
You good? Welcome, welcome, welcome. The Enigma Code DC. We are doing a podcast. Today is January 6th.
Yes.
6th. A lot going on. It's so much going on in the world in real time right now, right down the street in DC. We are in suburban DC in Maryland. We're literally down the street from DC. It's so much going on today downtown in the world. I don't know where to start, but let me introduce my guest. I got my man, the Bag Man. Finally got him in the studio. I guess he's riding shotgun with me tonight. I have my man, John Kane. John, tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. We have some common ground here. I went to high school in Cambridge, New York, where your family, resides. Some of it.
Yes.
I graduated back in 1978, and I may have been perhaps only one of two, or the first of two Native people to ever graduate from Cambridge, a school that calls themselves the Indians. And so I've recently come back to my hometown to address the idea that after all these years, they are still maintaining a race-based mascot for their moniker, for their nickname, and for their logo. So I'm an activist. I do radio. I have my own podcast called Let's Talk Native. I have a YouTube channel, Let's Talk Native TV. So I produce videos, I do a podcast, and I do a radio show both in New York City on WBAI and in Washington, D.C. on WPFW.
Man, I'm honored to have you in the house. I'm excited. Got more people possibly jumping in. That's fine if they do. Fine if not, fine. We always take 60-second break right away to get our heads flowed, and let's jump right back into it. Let's talk sports and get that out of the way so we can get into the good stuff, all right? Give me 60 seconds. We are back. Enigma Code DC. We are food, sports, politics, and as I like to say, whatever the hell else we want to talk about. See you in a minute.
That's how it goes?
Woo! That's it.
You getting a rush right now? Did you see bigger and better things to come for yourself?
Yes, sir.
Wow. So how many people tuned in? You don't know?
We don't go live. We film it and upload. It takes all night to upload, and we give it to YouTube. And then the next day, I see
You know
what's
what
going
this?
on.
I noticed there is on
We
here.
want to go live.
There is a way to stream this. We just have to be logged in.
That's what we have to talk to, John. You know how to do all that behind-the-scenes stuff, don't you?
Yeah, I do a couple of different things. I was doing OBS streaming. I also have a camera called Enigma that is designed specifically for web streaming.
There's
But
a button on Zoom that says stream.
I started posting them up as videos, recording them in advance and recording them and then posting them just because it's a little easier to edit rather than trying to do it on the fly. And frankly, I live on native territory. We don't have great internet where I live, so you're really at the mercy of the strength of your internet bandwidth. So
Gotcha.
5,
Gotcha.
4, 3, 2.
We are back, y'all. Segment 1. In the Wolf's Den. Happy New Year. Let's get sports out of the way so we get to the good stuff. I am a New York Giants fan, as you can tell. The NFC East, Philly, right? John, who's your team?
Well, Buffalo's in my backyard here.
Oh,
so
you're happy then.
I got to root for the Bills.
Oh, you're happy then.
They're for real. They're for real.
You're in a good place.
Giants all the way.
We got Philly, Giants, Buffalo. NFC East has been a nightmare all year.
All year.
Every team has flipped. They all have losing records, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All of them were in first place at some point, and all were at the bottom at some point.
Yeah.
And last week, which was week 16, but really you can say it's like week 15 because there was an extra week to play. 3 out of the 4 still could have been fighting for first place to win the division. My Giants beat Washington twice, so that gave them the nod. But then we lost a couple games. Philly came up. You guys had a tie. When I was little, I always thought a tie was good. A tie is like a loss. A tie is on the good side of a loss.
Nah, it's not really that. a tie can get you in over the other division.
Or it can kick you out.
Well, maybe it kicked us out.
But anyway, the scenario, and I'm so glad I got my man Malik, a Philly native, in here, the bag man. The scenario was the Giants win, and they're in, and Philadelphia had to beat Washington, the Washington football team. Okay? Giants beat the Cowboys. It was dicey for a minute. We beat the Cowboys. We had 1 foot in the door to get to the playoffs. The night game was the Washington football team against Philly. It was 17-14 Philly in the third quarter.
Right.
Middle end of the third, Philly's down 3. They put the new young gunner in, Jalen Hurts at quarterback.
He started.
Yes, I said, this is over. Jalen Hurts has been a winner for Alabama. He transferred to Oklahoma. He was a winner. And come the NFL, he's a winner.
He won a Heisman. He won a Heisman.
Yes, won a Heisman. Got that in his trophy case.
The championship.
Yes, chip, all that. I said, there's no way he's not going to score 7-10 points in a quarter and a half.
It was only down 3.
And that was the end of the game. The coach took him out of the game. I was flipping back and forth. I said, he must have cussed the coach out on national TV or something. There's no way you would pull him out of the game. And he didn't. And then I figured out what was going on. Philly was tanking the game.
Well, you know, we could have tied it up when we had kicked the field goal, but he went for the touchdown on 4th down. Remember, he supposed to have kicked could have kicked the field goal. This before the half ended, and he didn't kick the field goal. He said, "We're going to go for it on 4th down," and he didn't make it. So that's when the question mark came in my mind, like something's not right. So I know how you feeling. I know you still hurt by that.
I'm disgusted, but. And the Giants fans been fighting each other. We're so frustrated, we're fighting each other. But here lies the problem. We shouldn't have depended on Philly to get us into the playoffs. We should have won more games.
Yep.
Plain and simple.
Like Buffalo did, right?
Yeah. Buffalo closed out the season after losing a tough one to Arizona. They came back and just destroyed everybody in the path.
And you better watch out for them, too. You better watch out for them. They're dangerous.
Hey, on the NFC East, though, I've got to say, there's something truly ironic that a team in the Washington football team that has been dismal for years
Since I've been here.
finally drops the racial slur of a name, and through a whole lot of machinations manages to win the division. I mean. There was always this talk of curses and everything else, and I'm not a big believer in all that stuff. But there's just something truly, ironic that in the year that Dan Snyder finally drops the racial slur of a name, they
2020.
somehow get some sort of divine intervention to have them win the division and go to the playoff.
They're still trying to put together a name for the Washington. I would be fine keeping them the Washington football team.
Yeah, I think that would be great because I think the football gods smiled down on them because they had no business winning that division. And I personally wanted the Giants to win or get in the playoffs because I know how the Giants can strike. You know how the Giants get in and they just have nothing to play for, but they keep winning every division, every playoff game. They wound up at the Super Bowl like they did with Brady, the Tyreek catch. You remember that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a Dallas fan or a Washington fan, so I was kind of pulling for the Giants on this one as well. So
At least you're being honest.
I ain't mad at you. We hate the Cowboys, but now the dissension now is this was on Facebook. Who do you despise more, the Cowboys or Philadelphia?
Uh-oh.
I'm so mad at Philadelphia, but
Yeah, that was bad.
they didn't have to win. But I'm pissed off at them because
they didn't put
that was
effort.
the biggest tank
Right.
job in the history of sports.
You know, you called me and was mad
Oh,
about
I was-
this.
you know I was-
You called me like I played for the team, like I had something to do with it. Like he said, "Why'd y'all do that?" No, man, I'm watching this game at home. I don't have nothing to do. I'm not getting paid.
Dare you?
I didn't tell them to take Hurts out.
I was so angry. I
You
told
were
him to
very angry.
bring his Philly helmet today
Yeah.
because,
I
like,
don't
look
even
at the
want to carry
Jets.
it around. I don't want to carry that Philly.
The Jets haven't won a game all year, so they're going for Trevor Lawrence, who's going to be the #1 draft pick. They could have tanked their last 2 games and got him, and nobody would have said anything.
Right.
But those players said, no, we're not playing for him. We're playing for pride.
Right.
And it's just the biggest tank job I've ever seen in the history of sports on national TV.
Yeah.
Without trying to look like you didn't do it on purpose.
You're right.
They said the game ball for that game went to the Philadelphia head coach
Yeah.
for pulling the starter out of the game and
I
just
never heard
coasting.
that.
The Washington fans are running around town like they're on top of the world,
Yeah,
like
are.
they really did something.
Yeah.
They've done nothing.
Yeah.
Tom Brady
Yeah.
comes to town Saturday night, and that should be the end of that.
Well, suppose they win, though. What do you say, Buffalo? Anything can happen, right? Uh-oh, I go Skins fan.
We got another one. Someone else is joining in.
President who's presiding right now, urging him to
I can't believe that Tom Brady won't take out the Washington football team.
Anything can happen on any given Sunday.
Is that the general?
Yes.
How you doing, brother?
Good. What's going on? What you doing?
Good to see you, man. What's your take on all this about the NFC East and Philadelphia laying down and giving the game to Washington?
That's a fireable offense, bro. Yeah, that's a fireable offense, man. I don't think that they should lay down. I don't think that they should have pulled the quarterback. First of all, that's disrespectful to the QB.
Yep.
I would feel disrespected if you're going to pull me because you're trying to tank. That's disrespectful.
And he's upset about that. A lot of the players are like really upset about that. Like it's just Peterson is like Trump right now to them.
Well, Peterson didn't get fired, so that tells me something that he got the call from the booth and said, call off the dogs.
So you mean so
that
they
the
get
coach
that
didn't get
6th round
fired
pick.
on Black Monday.
So they can get that pick, right?
So they can get that draft pick.
Right. But you don't do that because, first of all, then you hurt your team because the team wasn't with that and the quarterback wasn't with that. And
Right.
you disrespected. That's disrespect to the team you're playing as well.
Are you talking as an analyst, or is that your opinion? Didn't you play pro football for a minute?
Excuse me?
Didn't you play pro football for a minute?
Well, I had a try with the Buffalo Bills in 1990.
Uh-oh, that's his team.
That's his team.
And you
That's
know,
his team.
you know the Buffalo fans jump on tables. What they call it when they jump on the tables and stuff?
I don't nuts is what I call it.
Mafia, Bills Mafia.
But I call it a bunch of drunk white boys is what I call it.
Yeah, Bills. It's called Bill Mafians.
Yeah, well, they do call themselves the Ghost Mafia, but no, the idea of getting plastered and trying to throw yourself onto a table in some freezing weather is not my idea of I don't know what that has to do with football.
Right.
I do, though, John, you brought up a good point. I do think there's some mystique to the fact that they dropped the moniker the Redskins, and they're in the playoffs. They've had some good luck come their way. And I there could be something to that.
Yeah.
Now, the Washington fans, they're never going to admit that. The hardcore Washington fans, they will never admit that. And 7 out of 10 of them, you talk to them, they say, well, they're always going to be my Redskins. But there is some truth to that, whether it's admitted or not.
They were cursed.
That's not true.
They were cursed using that Indian. Remember that Indian was crying when somebody threw trash on him, that commercial.
The whole commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
That was a white guy too, by the way.
Call him out, John. Smoke him out.
That was an actor. This guy, he called himself Ironized Cody, but he was actually Sicilian. Yeah, so even when they made that PSA over littering, and they couldn't even use a real native person for that. They used this actor to do it. I mean, the guy had to wear a wig. I mean, it's kind of sad.
I don't want to harp on that football thing anymore because it makes me sick on my stomach. If you got to tank games to get a draft pick, so be it. But we're going to go to break, and then can we come back? John, can you hang for a minute or you got to go?
No, I'm good.
Good. We'll come back. We'll take 60 seconds. Let's come back and let's talk about the events of the last 24 hours here in the United States. Something that's more relevant. Enigma Code DC. Be back in a minute.
All right.
You might have to hold this for a minute. I gotta get rubber band because I don't think that's charging.
Okay. I'm trying to get the music to work. Which way you hold it?
Careful, it flips and turns.
I knew it wasn't gonna start.
Say sorry, folks.
Well, we're on break. Set it down. We're on break.
Okay. It's recording though.
Huh?
It's recording on break.
Rob Lee, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you, Maximilian.
What you got going on with your hair?
I got a little twist on it.
I see. It's a good look for you. So this is our first time on Zoom,
It's gonna be a little shaky.
and I like it because it opens up the audience. So.
Yeah. But we discussed what's going on
Huh? They're acting up. Yep, my villain. You know, you always have one or two villains on the show. The one didn't show up. The other one's getting ready to jump on now.
Okay.
Well, no, he's probably not going to disagree with that. Yeah, the main villain that we had, he didn't show up.
Okay.
So,
It's still not lighting up.
well,
Your charger.
how much juice you got left?
I don't know. Why didn't you tell me that?
You got to kind of play with it and lay it down and find a happy angle on the bottom part of it.
On the bottom part?
Yeah.
I know, but I can't see when it lights up.
You want to use that chair? Put it on that chair.
This one is thinking.
That's what I go through every morning with that thing.
My big butt's in the way.
Maybe turn the cord on the Apple backwards.
This up here can go backwards?
Yeah.
It's gonna lose it midstream, you know?
We should have enough to get next commercial, right?
Well, we'll find out.
Yeah.
Then I'll let you play with it.
It's next commercial. I have to deal with it.
Okay. Did I give you the bar?
Yeah, we gave it back too. You gave her the ball? You gave her the selfie stick? Whatever.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, this will be a shaky video.
It's all right.
Okay. Alright, let's get ready to go. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
All right, we are back, y'all. The Enigma Code DC. Let's jump into what's going on in the world. I'll set the stage and let you guys talk because I feel like my head's getting ready to explode. I have so many different thoughts on this. The Senate runoff was in Atlanta, Georgia last night. They were going for 2 seats, and these 2 seats would flip the Senate. Well, flip Georgia. Well, and flip the Senate. That would give the Democrats the advantage, and that would give them 50 seats in the House to 48. And if it had been a tie, Kamala Harris would have been the deciding vote. The race was very, very close. Warnock was neck and neck, and then he took a small lead, then increased his lead, and then Ossoff was his race. He was behind. He caught up. It was neck and neck last night at 2 a.m. I swear it was like 50% to 50%. But a lot of the votes from the inner cities in Atlanta, Fulton County, DeKalb County hadn't come in yet, and it looks like now he's going to win. So that's the good news. The bad news is Trump incited protesters to come to town today. They came last night. They said they were going to be rowdy, and his silence all but encouraged it. They took it to a whole nother level today. Some say they broke into the Capitol. Some say it was just trying to be heard. But to me, it looked like a coup. A woman got shot in the chest. She lost her life. And I'll let you guys go on from there. But it's a hot mess. And I think China, a lot of people are looking at it, laughing at us. But I'll let y'all go ahead. Hear y'all thoughts on that.
So who shot the lady in the chest?
She got it in the Capitol building. A kid from Jersey said he was there, and it was a Secret Service or somebody inside there. They said they gave her several warnings to go and everybody else, and they were getting overrun. These people weren't coming in the Capitol peacefully. They were coming in to cause damage, harm, who knows. So she caught one in the neck.
God.
Fell, wrapped around in a flag, which is ironic, and bled out.
Wow. So that's...
Well, and you mentioned that Trump was silent on the issue. Let's be clear here. He spoke to this crowd that he that he invited to D.C. And they were there to protest the election and to basically they called it the Stop the Steal protest. And he spoke to them, and he and Giuliani and his kids, they literally told this crowd to march out to the Capitol.
Yeah, you're right.
They were all assembled out in front of the White House.
Right.
He told them to go there. They used words like war and battle and fight and that kind of stuff. So when these people showed up there, they were. It wasn't just silence that incited them; his words incited them.
Yeah, it's like he's their leader. Like he's like they robots. Like what you want us to do next? Like they do everything he tells them to do, and which his mental status is being questioned right now as we speak. They are thinking about taking him out of the White House, letting the vice president finish the rest of the term. It's been already said that he's mentally is not who he's supposed to be.
Well, there's 2 weeks that the United States is with an unstable, president.
Right.
Actually, it's been unstable for a long time. But the thing that I have to say here is that we know what kind of security came out for Black Lives Matter. We know what kind of force the folks at Standing Rock met when they were trying to stand up to a pipeline.
Now
The crazy thing is that these guys were allowed. There was a certain level of complicity by the police.
Oh, yeah.
I saw a video of the police removing barricades, letting them go through. I saw some pics of cops, posing for selfies with these guys.
Well, I can explain that, John. A lot of these guys, these police officers, they don't live in D.C. They live outside of D.C. Howard County, Montgomery County, Harford County, they support. But they work for Mayor Muriel Bowser, who's not on the agenda of the president. But you go ahead and finish.
Well, and again, there's no way that even that large crowd should have been able to breach the Capitol of the United States.
Nah.
And they were allowed to come up the stairs. They were allowed to do so much. And at some point, the police were overwhelmed, and they basically allowed something to escalate, and it became, incumbent on them to do something. But how is it that there's 20, 30, 40,000 people coming to town, and they're supposed to have permits for this kind of protests and these assemblies? How is it you didn't have a police presence adequate, to monitor and to control that kind of crowd? It's absurd. It's absurd.
Well, my thing is that Brother Jackson.
What's good, my man?
How you doing, sir? Better late than never. Glad you're here.
I appreciate the invite.
My thing, Muriel Bowser is sending the National Guard, but I don't, like I say, her and Trump clash so much. She doesn't deal with Trump. He doesn't want her help. She doesn't offer it. I believe, this is my opinion, that the National Guard was here for tonight because the Proud Boys have been very quiet today. They said they were going to act up tonight. And then they said they were going to cross over the border down the street and come here to PG County to act up. So I felt that she held them back for that because they had Secret Service up there, they had federal police, some Metro Police, some other people. I don't know. What's y'all thoughts on that?
They should have been there from
My
the day
th-
they arrived in town.
Right. My thoughts is plain and simple. Whatever they came there for, don't even matter. Once they went inside the Capitol, they was putting other state representatives and political people in danger.
Well, they did that in Michigan, and they thought it was funny. They had the full guns,
yeah, but
it was intimidation.
But had that would have been African Americans, Black Lives Matter, it would
I was
have been a slaughterhouse.
What would happen
just
if
gonna
it had been
say.
black and brown faces, busting out windows on the scaffolding, break? What would have happened if those
We wouldn't have
faces
made it
today-
to the. We wouldn't have. Black America wouldn't have made it to the Capitol.
The only reason why they were allowed is because the color of their skin.
But I think those people are like Klansmen and part of hateful groups and just hate people.
The death toll would have been higher if it was
I think
African
the people
American.
down here today was people that just hate people because Trump lost the election. There's nothing you're going to be able to do about it.
I heard he has 2 more aces in the hole. I heard one, if it's just chaos and mass hysteria and people acting crazy, he can call in the military. And if he calls in the military, he is in charge until he deems that this siege is over. So if that goes past the 20th, he's still in charge. I heard that's one theory. And the second one, he dumped all of his eggs into Mike Pence's lap today and said, you go, what did Pence have to do? He told Pence to do something. Pence had the power to do something. And Pence didn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
He
said
threatened
he
him. He said,
couldn't do it.
He said, I know Mike's going to do, I know he's going to do the right thing. He just is in complete denial about what's going on here.
Wow.
Well, can I ask you fellas a question?
Go ahead.
And lady, I'm sorry. Don't you feel like it's status quo for the way the past year is going? Don't you feel this has been kind of orchestrated?
Right.
And this is the last attempt at white supremacy before the inauguration. And at the same time, it's so obvious that I feel like it's a setup move. I don't feel like this is the move. You know, they're moving in silence. I feel like this is smoke and mirrors right now.
He called them in. Come on, let's say it. He
Right.
called them
Well,
in.
I agree with you. I also think that this real hard push to the right is about moving the left to the center farther. So, I mean, it leaves those of us who really need, some progressive thought to ensure that our rights are not violated, to come to the surface. And this doesn't. This moves everything on the left farther to the right. Can I bring up one more thing about the police?
Go ahead.
One more issue. After the police finally did assemble and then confronted protesters, I couldn't help but notice that even as the clock wound down on when the curfew was to start, none of those police officers had those big bundles of nylon handcuffs on their hip. They had no intention of arresting anybody. I mean, so
The gates were open.
yeah, I mean, they were just going to, lure them out of the way. They weren't going to arrest people for violating the curfew. They never had any intention. They didn't have any. They had no handcuffs. They had none of those nylon. And most of us who have been involved in any kind of protest are pretty familiar with those nylon handcuffs.
Let me ask you guys a question. There's been so much lawlessness. That's what I'm going to call it, lawlessness. I'm concerned, my kids at home are concerned, that after inauguration on the 20th, we still could see a civil war. A civil war started today. An American killed an American at the Capitol. We killed one of our own because they wouldn't stand down. And those protesters, they think they're right. They think they're fighting for democracy. They're not just trying to upset. They believe that they are right. They believe that they were screwed in the election. And they believe that they're fighting for the real democracy. They think they're in the right. And that's a problem.
Right.
Because it's got the country divided right down the middle.
Right.
You
So
look
where do
at
we go
the-
from here?
Is it lawless if people have orchestrated it? It's organized chaos.
I know it is.
Man. So, just like that, Brother Kane here just spoke on trying to move, it's so extreme to the right, it's going to move the left to the right. But you're describing civil war. I actually was with him, but I take a different approach. It's so extreme right and so orchestrated right now that the left has to go to the polar opposite, more to the left, which is going to cause more civil unrest. That's what a civil war would be, is going this way instead of, you know what I mean, them gradually join. So I believe that the left is actually becoming so offended, so disrespected. It mirrors the same situations from the George Floyd killings when we were watching CNN. The majority of that looked orchestrated. You know, today when they bum rushed the Capitol, there's footage now where the gates were purposely let open. This was the still shots I'm seeing were people holding flags in the Capitol, taking pictures with guns, with barricades, and people posing. I'm sorry. I can't fall for this type of staged
You know what?
chaos.
You know
I can't
what?
do it. I'm
You know
sorry.
what? Doesn't this make sense? They allowed the gates. You said the gates was open, right? So the uniformed officers were Trump lovers too. They were Trump lovers too. That's why they gave them so much leeway. Even though they were working for their job was to secure the place, but they were Trump lovers too. They wanted to be with the people that was rushing in. That's why a lot of those officers, you don't know. We don't know if they was Republicans or Democrats. Those people have feelings and emotions too.
Same thing as the protest.
Right.
The people that were breaking the windows, causing most of the chaos downtown during the protest.
Right.
They weren't genuine black people looking for change, making a statement about what we obviously saw was wrong.
I didn't see any black
Since
people.
now, but back since 1994 to Rodney King, 400 years ago. I mean, we have so many examples. Each decade has different representatives.
Wow.
But everything we've seen this year has been gradually conditioning the visual mind
Wow.
to see things that don't really exist for a bigger agenda. You know, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's just you watch CNN now and you don't know if you're watching a fictional episode of some TV show we haven't seen or are you watching authentic news being delivered?
Come on, man. We like CNN. We like CNN. They're number one.
I love CNN.
I don't
I'm
like
gonna watch
any news.
CNN when I get home.
Yeah,
let me say something.
Let me chime in a little bit more.
Let me say something real quick, okay? I think everything that you guys said is accurate, on point, but I'm going to take it a step further. That this was orchestrated and allowed, enabled by Donald Trump, because he gave the orders not to restrain the people.
Yeah, I heard
They
him.
cannot let people into the Capitol without his consent. There was
Absolutely.
no way on
Those
God's
orders
green
weren't
earth
given for
that they
Black
would have been
Lives
able to allow to go in the
Those
cup
orders
and
were
move
given
the
for Black
barriers
Lives Matter.
without his
Right.
consent, because those
That's right.
police
Were they?
officers
No.
would be fired. They would be fired if they moved those barriers without the consent of the federal government, which was headed by Donald Trump.
Yeah,
So
but
he
you had a lot of
there-
people up there. You had feds up there. I saw Metro Police. You had
Right,
Secret Service.
right.
You had 3 or 4, and then finally, towards the end, I saw the troopers come. I mean, the National Guard come in, but they were ordered to be unarmed, which is crazy. If they're not going to be armed, what do you need them for? Why are they there?
For that much chaos, didn't everybody look rather prepared?
Right.
Do y'all agree today that was a coup?
Yeah.
Was that a coup or just a protest that went a little too far?
They look
It's-
prepared.
It's been one.
Yeah, it's like they rehearsed it, like they knew what was going to happen, how they wanted it to go, how far they wanted it to go.
Well, and I'll take it another step farther too. I think the media was complicit. I'm sorry, some of that phony outrage, like they were so shocked, or that I'm
Right.
holding back tears. When I listen to these pundits, and whether they're journalists or whether they're politicians, talk about how brokenhearted they were to see. Give me a freaking break. And they saw the ratings go up. That's what they saw. They saw ad revenue increasing. Give me a freaking break.
And they planned it. 'Cause look at the date. It's January 6th. You have to make this statement now. Like Rob said, it's under Trump's
Command.
it's under his power, because
Right.
he only has 2 weeks before the moving trucks are coming.
He's not going to wait that. He's not going to be on there that long. He's
This
not gonna-
man is one of the most narcissistic, egotistical, worst leaders we've ever had. But he's driven on nationalism and conditioning, psychologically.
Yeah.
He has 2 weeks. His pride has been tested. He feels like his marriage has been tested. His power's been tested. They've tested the legality of his moves. And he has 2 weeks to do anything he can in his power to get it back, because to American citizens, he's been a TV star, he's
Yeah.
been a successful businessman, and now he's been one of the most controversial presidents.
Yeah.
So you think in the last 2 weeks he was going to walk quietly?
But here's the problem, Rue. Herein lies the problem. He has 70 million strong behind him.
Absolutely.
That's not an independent. That's a ticket. That's a major ticket. 70 million? An independent ticket, green ticket, 1 or 2 million followers straggler. He's got 70 million. I think that number's small.
And he
behind
has
him.
And he
But
has.
that's what allows him to be the most controversial president ever, is because he operated so much in the gray area and was able to shift those weak-minded, uneducated people in that gray area towards his side, along with just carrying the momentum from the people that followed him from Hollywood and from Wall Street. So that's what made him so powerful, and why he can use these fear-mongering tactics.
Well, do you know why he has it? He gets it because he's using social media to his advantage. Asinine tweets.
Oh, they
and
shut him
it's
down.
They shut him
They
down
shut him
today.
down today.
But it's reaching how many millions of
They're
people?
going to remove him from the White House in the next day or two.
The 25th, vote the 25th. The Republican senator from Wisconsin, who's been behind Trump the whole time, said today, that's it. He said, get on there and tell people to go home. It's over. And he said Trump won't do that.
No.
So he took a step back.
But listen to this. Listen to this for a second. Not one of them told him to resign today. Not one of the GOP told him to resign today.
They're scared of
Now,
him.
if that had been Obama, what the hell do you think would have happened?
They would have dragged him out.
Okay, he would have been dragged out, okay, at the White House. The GOP have been complicit this whole 4 years. Now, all of a sudden, they want to, jump off his bandwagon. No, they were complicit in creating this monster. And Donald Trump has took a match and set the United States of America on fire. Now, one thing I want you to understand. Imagine if 1 or 2 people from the swing states decided that they're going to side with Trump. You would have a national crisis right now.
Yep.
Where we would not be able to elect Joe Biden as president if you have one or two corrupt Republicans in those swing states that decided not to approve this election for Joe Biden. We were that close. That's how fragile this democracy is that we have. He set this country on fire in 4 years. All you needed was two corrupt people in two swing states, and we would have a national crisis.
Yep.
But what's scarier though? Is it scarier Donald Trump's power, or is it scarier that you have all of these people like Brother Rob was talking about that follow him? Because that means the nation and in disarray, because one man had that power, but a lot of people followed. And you're absolutely right. We had 4 to 5 states. This thing, we could have been. We could have had very negative emotions tonight.
Right.
Not because of what happened tonight, but because of what happened at the election. We were all high anxiety on election night. We did not. It was like a national championship game. We did not know who was going to win.
It took a week. It took a whole week.
Right.
It didn't take 1 day. It didn't take 2 days. Every time election I remember, woke up in the morning, you knew who the president was. This took a week.
It's funny you said that because my son turned 18 this year. This is his first time voting. And he came to me and he said, Dad, what time do you think that we'll know who won? And you know me, I'm a Reagan baby. You know what I mean? I'm back from that day, whatever. Typically, we got about 11:30, 12 o'clock news. We had a good idea going into the morning of who was going to win the election.
Right.
Now, I didn't feel that way this time, but I said, we should know by the morning. We should know by, just going by precedent, right?
Right.
And I don't think he's ever going to ask me about politics again because, just like you said, it took almost, 8, 9 days? Like, I looked like I had no education. You got a graduate level father, and I look like I knew absolutely nothing about politics.
We've been in uncharted waters. Listen, we got to go to break, and then I want to hear closing thoughts from everybody. I need 2 minutes. Enigma Code DC Pod.
A thing just came across Yahoo News. Some of the members of cabinet and I think it was Senate, I can't see it now, are trying to invoke the 25th Amendment to have him removed from office.
Told you.
Snap.
Told you.
Snap.
They're going to be
I was
removed.
wrong for that about 3 o'clock.
He's going to be removed tonight. They're going to get him out of there tonight.
Snap.
Watch. I told you, didn't I tell you?
He's being evicted.
He tried to put it on Pence. He said, I trust. He dumped the whole fireworks in Pence's lap. He said, I trust Mike's going to do the right thing.
I got to go home and watch
There wasn't a thing Mike could do.
I got to go home and watch that.
We talk about individuals with power.
It's on
One of the things I got to bring up
closing thoughts right
there's a school of thought that says if the Republicans
good, Malik. This is
Joe
good.
Manchin from West Virginia
Glad you came,
to
man.
switch parties,
I come back.
the
got a seat, brother.
control can go back to the
Got 4
Republicans.
seats.
Thank you. I got one.
I heard a little bit about that, and I didn't know it was that extreme. I graduated from WVU. That's very scary because I look at that state. I don't know how I made it out of my life sometimes. Campus. You know what I mean? But that Manchin family has a lot of power.
Five, 4, 3, 2.
Okay, we are back. Enigma Code, DC. Let's wrap it up. I want to hear closing thoughts from every person, and let's get out of here. Who wants it first?
So let me bring up what I was just talking about during the break. One of the parts that's still a little bit scary when it comes to seeing where the power lies is that with the Senate being split 50-50, if one person switches parties, it changes everything. And there's a lot of pressure being put on Joe Manchin from West Virginia to switch to Republican. And if that happens, all of this euphoria that everybody felt after last night or this morning when that news broke that the 2 Democrats were elected in Georgia can get tossed. So that's how vulnerable and how, how fragile U.S. Politics really is.
They say Georgia won the election. It all came down to Georgia and Pennsylvania. And they said this Senate came down to Georgia again. For the whole nation. Who's next? Good points, John. Good points. Who's next? General?
I can go. I think that judging from what happened with today's events, judging what happened with the senator election, I think now that we have Trump leaving, I look for a better future, a brighter future for this country with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, and us having control of the Senate. I think that we can finally get some legislation for the people that are definitely in need of some type of, first of all, for healing. The country needs to be able to heal after 4 years of pure chaos. And I'm so glad, I'm thankful to God that we were able to get the opportunity to win the Senate so that we can get some legislation, get some policies passed for the people of this nation, because God knows that we need it. We need to be able to we need to heal. Because if we had allowed, let's say if we had lost those races, then we have 4 more years of obstruction, and that would be the worst thing for this country after what we've been through with this pandemic and after 4 years of Trump. That could have been the worst thing that could happen for the United States of America. And I'm just glad that good won over evil.
Good point. Brother Rue, go ahead. You're up. Good points.
Just in closing, I appreciate y'all having me on here to vent a little bit. It's a perfect day to do that.